Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Maroon Momentum Show. I am your host, Jonathan Duff, here to cover all things EKU football. Obviously, I wish we were saying today was a victorious Thursday on this show, but unfortunately, it is not. Obviously, we all saw how it went over the weekend. A tough game against a really, really tough opponent, and I don't think that gets highlighted enough. Tarleton is a very, very good team, going to do a lot of damage the rest of the season, but with that said, I want to pause and give a big shout out to our sponsor for this show, John Clark State Farm there in Richmond. If you haven't checked him out, just go see what he's about. I say it every week, but I can't stress it enough. He's a great individual, a great human being, a great person beyond just his business. And I know that in his business, he takes care of his customers just because that's the kind of guy he is. So you can always count on Clark. I'll always say it. It's a great slogan. It's a true slogan. So go ahead and check out John Clark State Farm for your insurance needs in Richmond. With that said, we'll kind of dive into, like we do every week, a little bit of a preview from last week, but we won't dwell on it. So obviously Tarleton came in on homecoming 131-7. They move on to 9-0 on the season. They're ranked number 3 in the country. Like I said, a very, very impressive team all around. I think the biggest storyline from that game is there are a few big takeaways, but the one is EKU was down 10-7 at half. I don't think there was any question as to whether EKU can hang in with Tarleton and even, well, obviously they got the better of us, but I don't think there's any question that EKU has that potential when everything's clicking to be one of the best teams in the conference, let alone, Tarleton being ranked 3 in the country and having them 10-7 at half. But obviously, you'd want to see that score higher. The offense struggled a little bit. We had 5 3-and-outs to my count on Saturday, which obviously isn't ideal, and 4 turnovers. And that's really when the wheels fell off in the second half. Tarleton led a 21-0 scoring run in the third quarter, and no more points were scored the rest of the game for that 31-7 total. They dominated possession time by 15 minutes. And like I said, they won the turnover battle 4-0. They played a clean game. So honestly, defense, played well. They were out there for the majority of the game, which is obviously hard on them. But the ability to, take away turnovers, defenses are defined by being able to score like we've seen this year out of our defense, and also just to be able to take the ball away. So that's always a stressor. So there are a few things, and I think you can credit that to all 3 phases, that second half fall off. And like I said, I don't want to dwell on it too much. We got to see Cam Montgomery, the freshman quarterback, step in and take some snaps. I know a lot of people were surprised to see him in that game. To start the second half, we got to see him with 2 series, an unfortunate fumble, but I'm sure one that the young freshman will learn from. He is a impressive guy just in stature. I think a lot of people, from what I'm hearing with EKU, are just really impressed at his talent and his abilities. I know he was a huge recruit coming in. So, he did a few things. He showed you his ability to run the ball. Obviously, like I said, he's going to learn from that fumble. And then we didn't get to see him in there after that. Beyond that, I kind of wanted to, I'll shift gears away from that because obviously, we're sitting 3-5 and backs against the wall. But it's not a place that we are necessarily unfamiliar with as a program. And there have been great runs out of a position where you have no choice other than to win out. So with that said, I kind of want to transition in here. Tonight's show, I'm very, very excited. It is a trenches show because these guys deserve to be highlighted. They deserve to get the recognition that they've put in all year. And so I'll end up talking to Anthony Johns tonight, who's been one of the forces on the O-line for EKU this year. I mean, he's been a huge bright spot, one of the best probably O-linemen on the field a lot of the weeks that he's played this season. So really, really impressive, and a guy who's been with the program a while and knows what it's like to grind it out. So very excited to talk to him. And then, of course, we have Gabe Fletcher on here after him, a 6th-year defensive lineman, another guy who's just stayed the course. And, he had a half tackle for loss on Saturday. He's been known to wreak some havoc in the backfield with TFLs and sacks. And he's a guy that came in with my recruiting class. So we're in 2 very different spots right now. So I'm jealous of him. He gets to go out there and continue to strap it up. So I am so excited to talk to him. But with that said, once again, thank you for tuning into this show this week. Shout out to John Clark State Farm, and I'm going to go ahead and bring on our first guest of the evening, O lineman, center and guard, Anthony Johns.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm currently at my alma mater's high school football game, so don't mind the speakers playing music.
Hey, we can't even hear it too loud. So,
Yeah.
are you guys winning, or what's the story right now?
I mean, we got a group that's we're on a downfall right now, but I feel confident in our group heading into Arkansas, and Charlton was a very good team. Our offense struggled during that game, but I think we learned a lot about ourselves during that game. So I think that opens up opportunities to learn and just like from the O line perspective, we didn't really communicate as well. So we're hopefully going over those communication faults, and we're going to see if how good we are against a very good opponent in Central Arts. And they got some big boys up front, but I think if we get our fundamentals and our communication down, I think we can handle them. And yeah, we'll see where the rest of the season goes. It was this time last season where we made that run to make go to the playoffs, so why not do it again?
Exactly, and it's such a joy to get to talk to people in the program every week and get that insight that you get a lot of doom and gloom when you're a fan and you're on the outside, and I know Wells always preaches it matters. Only thing that matters is who's on the inside and what you guys believe. So, is that a message that's kind of gone around this week as far as we did it last year, we got our backs against the wall, we can do it again? Is that kind of been the mood all week?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Wells has made it clear that there's still a possibility of us turning this season around, and that starts with 1-0. And he's preaching that each game we take one at a time, and that's how we did it last year.
Mhm.
Last year we took each game one at a time, and it seemed like each game was a thriller that we played, and
Yeah.
that just made things even even crazier. But I think if we just go from a 1-0 perspective, I think we can make a run.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it, and the proof's in the pudding. You've seen it before. Um, Talk to me kind of about, you know, you've you've had a really good season on the O line. You've been multiple time player of the week. You're having a great year. Um, Through that whole, the whole season, you guys have jumbled your O line a little bit. You've played center, you've killed it at center, and then you've been asked to step in at guard, and you've done really well at guard. Tell me first, kind of highlight your versatility and how hard is that to be able to switch back and forth? Because I think it's a lot harder than people may understand.
Uh, I mean, I will say as an offensive lineman, you kind of need to know everybody's job while doing your job as well. So learning how to play different positions is just a testament to how good our coaches have taught us in the past. And I mean, as a high schooler, I was left tackle, and I came here and played center. So it was just so different to me, even coming out of high school, just playing such a different position. And yeah, as you learn and get older, you begin to adapt to different challenges in life and on the football field. And you just whenever you see a position change, the first thing you think is, you kind of freak out, but once you get over all those nerves and all that, you just think to yourself, okay, it's the same play but just a different position. And then you get people, the help around you, which I'm blessed that I've been surrounded by a lot of veterans.
Hmm.
All 4 years of EKU, I've been surrounded by a lot of veterans that know everything about their position and the playbook. And I've been blessed enough to ask John Stone questions. I've been blessed enough to ask Peyton Common questions. Been blessed enough to ask VT some questions. So I mean, it's been awesome. The supporting cast has been around me, and I owe all the credit to them on my growth of playing, different positions.
That's really nice of you, and I mean, you can tell that you're really excelling at the different positions. One thing that I kind of learned just living with John Stone for 3 years is playing center. You have to. I feel like playing center, you got to know everything more than everyone else has to know everything. What comes with the challenge of being a center, and also not only just knowing every play in your own playbook, but being able to communicate and identify. Kind of walk me through what all goes into being a center on a football field on a Saturday.
I mean, there's extra film work that you got to do as an, just a left guard and a left tackle, and then there's playing center, and it feels like being a center, you're watching the most film on the team, and you got to know everybody's position. You got to learn how to communicate with everybody on the team, which was a thing that I struggled at first playing center because it's four different guys that you haven't been surrounded by, and when you take the reins as a center, you're kind of like the quarterback of the offensive line, and it takes five people to do one job correct, and there's a lot of pressure on that position. I will say, I mean, mentally is very taxing, but it's fun to just go out there and take control and have everything go to your beat of the drum, and just battle with guys that that will do your job. And I think that comes with a lot of trust of each position, trusting that you got two guards that know what they're doing, two tackles that what you're doing, and then you got to have confidence in yourself with calling out blitzes and calling out different run schemes, and it's just a lot of trust and confidence. I will say those are the two biggest factors of playing center.
It seems like it, and you don't have to tip your hand in any way, but just for the basic football fan that may not understand, when you get down there and address the ball, what are some of the things you're looking for when you're calling out blitzes? Is it a linebacker's demeanor? Are you looking at the D line and looking at their demeanor? What are some of the things that you have to call and communicate to the rest of the offensive line?
It all starts with the secondary. I've learned over the course of last year or so that the secondary will give you away what they're trying to do, but also you can't sell out on the secondary as well. You got to read alignments of the linebackers. You got to see if they're tippy toeing across to just get extra burst on the blitz or whatnot. And yeah, there's a lot to it. I would say it starts with the secondary, it goes to the backers, and then reading the alignment of the defense. So John Stone was a mastermind at calling everything, and he was one of a kind, and it was awesome just to see him work and be so knowledgeable of the game. And yeah, I got to ask him a lot of questions. I got to learn from him a lot, and so has Liam, and Liam has learned a lot from him. That's why he's playing center now, and yeah, there's a lot to it, but I will say it starts from reading the secondary to the backers and then to the defensive linemen.
It's so interesting. You talk about the load that a center, a guard, a tackle, like people don't understand what all goes into that position. And I would agree that the O line is one of the probably the position, the group that watches the most film and probably watches the most film together because you all have to. I remember Stone going to the facility. It's seemingly all hours of the day to watch film with the group, to watch film with Coach Rav and different things like that. And me as a specialist, if I wanted to know anything at all, I just asked Stone, hey, what's their defense like? And he'd give me every single breakdown going into the week.
Yeah,
Now, talk to me kind of when the O line has a unique chemistry, and we've kind of talked about you have to trust each other, have communication. Tell us some of the stuff you know. I've talked to Tone this season, but tell us some of the stuff that you do outside of football that grows your
outside.
guys' bond because you do have one of the most special bonds on the team as a unit.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this during the summer. I think on the Jack Buford Chevrolet show. I mean, when it comes down to it, all linemen get to interact so well together while eating a meal, and that's usually how it works. It's you eat a meal or you go out and play mini golf out over there at Lake Reba, which has a great mini golf course, I will say. we've made a lot of memories at that mini golf course over the summer. We've held tournaments, and we got the QBs and wide receivers into it as well. And yeah, I think I mean, number one, you got to have a great meal. I mean, we can bond over anything if we're eating right, I will say. And then we're also kids at heart, so a good mini course, any of those attractions or whatnot, just to make yourself feel like a kid again. That's what we go for.
It's awesome. It's awesome to watch you guys get together and just hear some of the conversations are always hilarious. You guys are, it's a special group of people that do a almost thankless position sometime because the running backs and the quarterbacks will receive so much praise. You forget about the group up there that's gelled up doing it together, and so it's one that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. You kind of talked about obviously having all these veterans around you in the past, but now, I mean, honestly, I know this is like your kind of first time really being the superstar, right? Getting a lot of attention, being the player of the week and all this, but you're a guy who has been, one of those silent leaders with the way that you work throughout the program and with being with the program for 4 years now. Um, Talk to me about in this day and age, a lot of people will jump ship and different stuff like that. You talked already about learning from the leaders in the past, John Stone, even Liam now, and learning and how that's done for your development. What beyond just, the learning aspect from players, did you take out of just staying the course and then getting your shining moment maybe later than being able to go somewhere and play right away as a freshman?
Yeah, it's just college football is a game of patience, and I've learned that through playing 4 years here. Like I knew 2 to 3 years ago, I probably wasn't ready for that starting spot. So I think it's just patience and taking everything with a positive mindset and just learning from others. It's a lot of kids like to jump ship now, and
Hmm.
I really don't see the value of that unless if you're like in a bad situation, like you don't like the coaching staff and all that jazz. But I love this coaching staff, and I love Coach Wells. I mean, he'll get on your butt about things and call you out, but that's just coaching at the end of the day. And I'm blessed to have a coach that that will go hard and will point some fingers at you and make because that's what makes you better at the end of the day. So I think staying the course of playing here for 4 years has just made me better as a person, more so than a football player, because it's taught me a lot about patience and it's taught me a lot about who I am as a person. Because I feel like I couldn't go anywhere because I can't give up this bond that I have with this university. So.
That's such a great perspective. And, that's one of the big reasons why, you're playing so well. But I wanted you on today because I just know, there's a lot of respect for people nowadays that stay the course and do what you're doing and then excel now, like you are. You bring up Coach Wells, and I'm glad you did because it's a great segue to my next question. When you come to EKU and you play as an offensive lineman, obviously Coach Wells played the position, he coached the position. It's a very unique perspective because you guys might be under the microscope even more from the head coach than if you went to another program. What kind of insight does that bring, and how is it super nice to have the head coach as involved with the offensive line and to have his brain to pick? And what's that like in general?
I mean, it's great to learn from a man that's been with the position, coached the position, has always been dependent on the O line position as a coach. And it's awesome just to pick that brain of his and just learn because there's just so much to learn about playing O lineman, as there's never anything that, doesn't surprise you. Like, there's so many rules, there's so many facets to this, game that we call football. And it's a never ending history book. That's one thing. It's never ending history book and it's never ending manual to a nice car. That's how I look at it. You keep on reading and you keep on learning about the sport and you keep on just acknowledging how great the sport is and just like how knowledgeable people are of the sport, and it almost makes you want to, coach the sport one day, which I really want to, and starting at the high school level. And yeah, it just makes you very appreciative of how football is played, and just makes you appreciate how many hours the coaches put in just for a game, just for a week of football, and to do that 24/7. It's amazing what they do.
I've said this already, but that's just incredible insight, and it's good to hear, and such a good, metaphor for what developing and learning in your position is. I probably don't talk about it enough, but you mentioned that you want to coach. So, kind of tell me and tell everyone that's watching, what are you going to school for, and what are your goals after everything's done with football?
I'm currently going to school, getting my bachelor's in Homeland Security next fall, with a minor in business. So hopefully I can do something with security, with dealing the homeland, of protecting this great nation. And a minor in business is just, a backup plan if I want to have to create my own security firm one day, provide protection for others and different events and areas. But I mean, of course, I want to coach football one day. That's a goal. I would love to come back, here, currently at my LCA, watching my alma mater play. So I would love to come back here and coach for a little bit. And I always joke about this, but I mean, it's there. But I love WWE as a kid. I love wrestling, and if I have time for it, I would love to become a WWE wrestler. But that's a dream.
That
That's
would
all
be
I can
awesome. That would be awesome. I think we need to get Anthony training after football and get him all ready to go in the
do.
ring. That would be cool. When you talk about, you're at your high school right now and you're watching LCA play. When you talk about those days, you're from Lexington. Did you grow up and through recruiting, did you know that you wanted to go to EKU all along? Probably UK being from Lexington, but how did EKU come along in the recruiting process and how did you make your decision?
I made my decision because the coaching staff made me feel like a family member upon my visit. They made me feel special. Really, I didn't get any offers till my summer of senior year of high school football. So it was a very quick decision, but it was also the right decision to commit here. And yeah, it's been 4 years later. We're still kicking. We're still going. But
I
it's been
I
awesome.
would
It's
say
been awesome.
I would say it was the right decision, and I would say that we are all very grateful that you are a colonel. When like I said, you're from Lexington, you're right down the road. Do you have any teammates on the team? I know Brady went to LCA, but only his senior year. Do
Yeah.
you have any teammates from high school on the team?
I do not. I do not.
Okay, so I knew that a couple people went to LCA.
Yeah.
But shifting from that, shifting from that, we look ahead. You got a tough Central Arkansas team this week. We've already kind of highlighted them, but what's the message going into this week? Is there anything specific that you're seeing out of their defense that the general public would know that we can look out for on Saturday? Any strengths in their defense?
Um, they're big up front. They have a big nose guard in '89. He's pretty big. Um, I think their defense is pretty good. They're strictly gap sound team, and I really think they they show some of their blitzes. So maybe that's we can get them where it counts is them miss showing their blitzes, but I think overall this is a great team, and I think this is a great opportunity to prove ourselves as an offensive line that we can hang in with these big guys, and we can get a win over this UCA team that's caused us trouble in the past. They caused a heartbreaker 2 years ago. I can never forget about that game, and yeah, I'm just glad we're back at Arkansas and hoping to redeem ourselves here for that Hail Mary 2 years ago still lives in my head.
No doubt. I cannot stand playing there, probably for that exact same reason. But I will go on the record to say I believe I was 4-2 in my 5 years against Central Arkansas because we played them twice in one of those seasons. But I wish you nothing but the best of luck this weekend. I have no doubt that you're going to go out there and handle business, and I'm excited to see what you guys do the rest of the season. I think that you guys can turn a lot of heads. So, congratulations on playing well individually so far this first half of the year, and I'm excited to see what you do. Good luck going forward.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. And enjoy the game. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Appreciate it. It was a blast.
That was offensive lineman Anthony Johns live from LCA at the LCA game right now. So super grateful to have Anthony on the show today and get his insight as an offensive lineman and also just a impact player on the CKU team. Moving forward, I have a guest here that's been waiting a few minutes. His name is Gabe Fletcher. You may know him. He's been in Richmond for the past 6 years, and he's a fan favorite. And here he is, defensive lineman Gabe Fletcher.
What's up, JT Duff? How you doing?
I'm good, Gabe. How are you doing?
Doing good. I'm out to eat with a couple teammates right now.
Oh yeah, who do we have with you?
We got Braden Latham, we got Jeremiah Bailey, and Juice Clark at Sterling.
Man, well, tell all the boys I said hello. You know, I wanted to have you on for many reasons. Obviously, you have a tackle for loss on Saturday, and obviously, you have wreaked havoc in the backfield just in general in your entire career. I think you've been known for a sacks and TFL and big play kind of guy, but the one thing obviously that I love about you is that you've stuck around for 6 years in a program, which is so rare to find nowadays. One of the things that I just was curious, just hearing your insight and sharing with those watching is, why should a player stick around for 6 years nowadays, and what has this time at EKU and this loyalty that you've given EKU, what has that done for you as a person, as a player, and just in general?
I think the reason why I stayed is because I personally promised Coach Wells I'm gonna get him a ring, but Eastern Kentucky's just like, I don't know. I never thought about leaving because this is just a home. Like, I love Eastern Kentucky, the community, the people. Like, if you go out to somewhere, they're gonna ask who you are, and then they're gonna have a long conversation. It's just a lot of old heads here, so I like talking to old heads. And the community, I mean, and the staff and the faculty here, like not just on the football team, but just in the whole campus. I love them so much because like Mr. Steve, he's giving me an internship right now, so I can work behind the cameras and in front of the cameras. I don't know. I just really have good love for this place.
Absolutely, and you should. I mean, you've been someone, I mean, you're also a high character person. So you're someone that, this campus, this community, everyone wraps their arms around because, you give so much to everyone that you meet. On top of just, being there for so long, kind of show me insight. What's the development been like as a person and a player? You go from when you're freshman year to now. Where has the growth come in and just how has it impacted you in that way?
Um, that's a good question, Duff. I ain't gonna lie to you, but the growth, I think I grown just to mature as a man. Because like Coach Will's favorite saying is, "Boys do what you have to. Boys do what they want to. Men do what they have to." And being a freshman, I've been in and out of trouble. I've been doing all types of crazy stuff. But as time going along, I have stopped and learned that being by myself is even better. Just like learn to enjoy myself and learn to know when time to play and when it's not. Like Coach showed a video earlier this year, and it's really I like it because it stuck with like my process of Eastern Kentucky. It said, "The boy got to die so the man can live," and I just really like that because like that's what I had to do. I had to kill a boy in me and let the man live, so I can get through all types of adversity and different type of setbacks that I face, and become
That's
strong.
That's such a good saying. I do love that. when you look at kind of just your playing time at EKU, the D line has always been a strong suit of the team, and there have been some incredible defensive linemen that have come through in the past 6 years. When you talk about just playing with those guys and being in that room and having three different coaches that you've learned from, what's the development been like on the field? Having those mentors, and what have you taken away from different people that have been through the program, different coaches that have been through the program?
I think personally, I just learned to like steal their moves. Like they showed out like TK or in D Bay from last year. They were super aggressive at the point of attack. So I try to match that aggressiveness and have some finesse like Hugh Floyd. So there's a lot. Like I try to steal their games, but the culture is different verbiage, but it's all the same at the end of the day. You just go out there and don't get moved back and stay in your gap, basically.
No doubt. When you're playing offensive line and you go into a game, do you ever go into a game with a set plan for different moves, or are moves just different moves, swim move, rip move, or different kind of moves like that? Are they all just second hand now, second nature, and they just are reactive moves? Nope, I think we might have lost them. We will hold here as I think we are experiencing networking issues. And I will take Gabe down from the screen here. Please stay with us. We're going to bring him back on here in a second. And I think we have a black screen, so we will just wait a minute. And I think he will join back here in a second. I'm going to kind of just progress and move on and start talking about Central Arkansas a little bit. We kind of highlighted it already. I would call Central Arkansas, at least in my time at EKU, a rivalry just based on how many close games we played, heartbreakers, and jabs from the other team in terms of we played two. We played the very first time we played them in 2020. We won. Dakota Allen threw a touchdown pass on homecoming with 3 seconds left to win the game. Then we go to their place, rally from a 25-point game, and lose on a failed conversion of a 4th and goal at their place. The next year, we blocked a field goal to win. The next year, they threw a Hail Mary to win. And then last year, Josh Carter scores the game-winning touchdown. And then there's 1 year in there in the middle that I might have missed, the 2022 season. They were ranked and maybe first place in the conference, and we beat them by about 30 at home. So the lone blowout in our long-standing history over the last 5-6 years now with them. But, we do lead the series from 2020 in Wells's tenure. It might be the all-time series, but we do lead that 4-2. But yeah, I definitely see them as some sort of a rival, a team that I definitely love to play against, and it's always a very, very physical game. This year, it's interesting. Usually you have a matchup between two of the best teams in the conference, and this year, each team's had their respective struggles. Each team coming into Saturday's game is 3-5, and UCA is coming off a heartbreaking loss against West Georgia, 18-17. They gave up 2 touchdowns to West Georgia in the fourth quarter to lose the game. So it is a pretty crazy story. Sorry, everyone. I am sending Gabe the link right now. He will be joining us shortly. Please hold. All right, we are back. Gabe will be joining us here in just a moment. But with that said, they lost a heartbreaker to West Georgia. They're an interesting team, 3-5 each teams that are playing. But you can't take Central Arkansas lightly because they just lost by 1 in a heartbreaker to West Georgia, and they beat North Alabama by 28, who in turn beat EKU by 21. So it's going to be a very interesting matchup. I will highlight some of the strengths and weaknesses of the matchup and the keys to the game that I see here shortly. But we are joined now back again by Doomsday Gabe Fletcher. Here he is.
I'm so sorry. My phone literally broke on me. Like it's died at 5%. I gotta get a new phone anyway, so I didn't expect to die.
Oh no. Well, no worries at all. I hope that your phone is okay, and I appreciate you joining me. From whose phone is this?
Oh, this is my cousin's phone. He was out to eat with us. My cousin lives
Oh,
with
that's
us.
awesome. Well, thank you to your cousin for letting you come on the show, and through his phone. Kind of as we were kind of talking, we were just talking about like different moves and stuff like that. And I remember my last question to you was, do you come into a game and you're like, all right, these are the moves I want to whip out this game, or is it all just reactive when you're out there?
I think they're all reactive. Like most of them are reactive. Like you can't predict what you're gonna do before you do it because then that's how you mess up and that's how you get hemmed up. But I just go off of base what they give me.
That makes sense. That makes sense. When you look, I mean, you've had, like I said, I think you're known for when you're in the game, you cause some havoc in the backfield. You've had some sacks, you've had TFLs. You had a TFL this past week, but I kind of love to think about, the Tarleton game when you last year, 2 years ago. So, we beat them at the time. They were the number 7 team in the country, and you were absolutely bullying that offensive tackle to the point where I think he bowed out of the game on the last drive. You had multiple tackles for loss. Is there any special secret to just your ability to go in the backfield and make plays, or is it just doing your job at the end of the day and doing what you were taught to do?
I think it's just doing your job at the end of the day. Do what you're taught to do because um, you just gotta keep hitting somebody till they like give up. So like you can't if you just keep hitting them and don't know what to do, you're just gonna eventually lose too. One of y'all gonna bow down. So if you just keep being consistent at doing your job, you're gonna win.
No doubt.
That's what
I mean,
Coach Matthews used to say. Coach Matthews used to say, "You do your job, you're gonna win." So
that's the truth, and that's the truth. When you look at kind of the defense this season, I think actually let's talk about this. Defense this season, I think, has been a huge bright spot to this team, and I think the same thing last year. You've been a part of bottom defenses in FCS play in our early years of being at EKU, and now you're in one of the top tiers of some of the best defenses in the country the past 2 years. What's been the biggest shift in your eyes for the culture of the defense, and how did that transition kind of come about? Was that gradual, or did it kind of flip a switch last year?
I think it flipped the switch because Coach Johnson came up with these cardinal principles like uh terrorize the quarterback and all the other things. There's a lot of principles now because they keep adding it to it, but they show up a picture of the slide and it just motivates you, let you know that you really got to do your job. That's how he switched it up because he showed these slides and we have to repeat them. Or like match hands is a skill. Like we do a lot of those things. Like we say a lot of those things and it helps our mindset. Actually, I guess it works so far. So I love it.
It has worked. I mean, the past 2 years has been a whole different. I mean, the Maroon Doom is really the truth. The past 2 years, when you talk about kind of the culture within the position group, I think a common theme that I've heard is accountability. Can you talk about kind of the level of accountability in your room and the vocal leaders and just what does a day in practice look like? If you're slacking or different kind of things like that.
If I think accountability. We do a lot about accountability, but um, I don't see. Sometimes I'll be focused on myself, so I'll be messing up. But accountability is held up by our leader Jeremiah Bailey. Like if somebody's slacking, he's going to get on them. If somebody's messing up, he's going to get on them. Like we can't because we control our destiny, so we can't have a day for anybody messing up. Sometimes I catch myself slacking, and Jeremiah Bailey's the first one yelling and chewing somebody out. He chewed me out, and you can't do nothing because you cannot deny his work. So you got to pick up your
Absolutely.
strain. And
I
then Coach LeBlanc say, "Don't let nobody control your temperature." So how you come out there is how you play. So don't let nobody else control you. Don't let nobody yelling at you. Nobody nothing that happened before practice mess you up. Just come out there with the temperature you want to have.
Absolutely. That's great advice. I think that the defense, like I said, a common theme that I've heard from everyone is accountability. And I think it's noticeable when it comes to the way you guys play and the way you guys attack things, because nobody's ever going to be on every single day. But the way that you guys lift each other up and hold each other accountable is something really, really fun to watch nowadays, and that's why the defense is fun to watch. I'm going to ask you kind of a harder question here with, last week you get put in a tough spot because there were 4 turnovers, so you have sudden changes. You did have 15. Tarleton had 15 minutes of extra possession time. So that is a lot of strain on a defense. I understand. Everyone's going to have their games. Defense is going to have their games. Offense is going to have their games. How what is it like in game, or what is it like as a unit? When you're um, interacting with the offense, are you guys over on the sideline? Do you guys lift them up, or just how do those interactions go? Because I know, with teams that don't have the culture that you do, it's pointing fingers and different stuff like that. But how do you go about interacting with the offense in games like that or in moments like that, just in general?
Oh, we go cheer them on. We go tell them that they can do it, and we got their backs no matter what. Because football's a momentum-based game, so whoever has the most momentum and you gain it by like high-fiving each other, cheering, tell them you did a good job, pass them the butts and the heads. That's how you boost momentum, momentum, and whoever has the most momentum is going to win the game. That's how, because it's a game at the end of the day. So yeah, that's what I believe. That's why
Definitely, and that's
we definitely go over there and cheer them up, let them know everything. Like when somebody messes up or we don't get a good block or say they blitz gets home, we say, "Don't worry, we finna get them," and that's what we did. Well, most of the year, we cause turnovers and we cause those turnovers to be touchdowns because we got our brothers back.
definitely, and that's something that I've seen. It's a part of just, obviously I ask you these questions because I've seen kind of the switch on defense, and I've seen where the offense really needs the defense, and they're going over and cheering on the defense. And now I've seen too sometimes where the defense needs the offense, and they're going over like, "Hey, I got you on this," and they go out and you guys end up forcing a turnover. And it's something that's really a testament to the culture that's been built and the people that are in the locker room. Um, when you look at kind of last week in general, what's kind of the message from the defensive side of things last week? Is there anything specific that's been a focus this week in practice, or something that you guys are looking to improve on going into this next week?
I think we learned we've been harping on playing a 60-minute game. That's what we harping on. No matter, we can't let no let down, no nothing. We got to defend every blade of grass, every blade of grass, no matter where we at on the field. That's what we harping on because it was a tight game into the third quarter, and then we shut them out in the fourth quarter. So we gotta just play a full, complete game, and we haven't played that last week. We didn't.
Definitely. I think that that's kind of what I talked about earlier as I previewed the game. Obviously, they have a 21-0 third, 21-0 third quarter, which changes the game when you go out on a turnover and it's a sudden change and you have I know it's a bend don't break mentality. Is there ever a situation where you guys are like, you go out and you're in the red zone? um is it always a don't give up any points, or is there kind of like expectations when you go out there and you're in the red zone on a sudden change, give up a field goal but don't give up a touchdown, or different things? Like, I know the offense has game plans when they go out there, the goal, if you're backed up, you want to get 2 first downs and flip the field. Are there any specific goals that you guys have based on the yard line that you're on when you go out and take the field?
No, none at all. It's always never let them score, not even a field goal. We got a field goal package. We got 2 field goal packages just to block the kick. We're not letting nobody score. Well, that's what our plan is. We can't do that. That's what our goal is. We're Maroon Doom.
I love that, and that is a testament to the culture.
Have you
When
seen
you
you
look
seen
at
us on
past games,
I said, have you seen us on like on the 1 yard line? We don't let nobody get in. There's been multiple games where we did that, where we just stop them at the one
that's a
yard line. We can't let nobody get in
that's a
our
fact, and that is something that I actually 100%. That's something that I actually was going to ask you about, and that's kind of what I was thinking of, because you guys have had several goal line stands where people, they think they're going to try you and go for it on 4th down, and they don't know what they're running into when they hit that wall. That is the Maroon Doom defense. When you look at kind of, this week ahead, you're going to play at Central Arkansas. It's a very familiar opponent. I mean, you're going into this 6th season, but in your first 5 seasons, you played Central Arkansas 6 times, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. Shout out to COVID.
Absolutely, yeah. Played them twice in COVID. It has been a historical uh I'm trying to think, a historical series. We're leading the series 4-2 over the past 5 years. But when you look at it, I mean, it's been all but one have been a one-score game there at the end. Do you see them as a rival? Do you see this week with a little bit more meaning? Do you go out there and is there any difference with who you're not necessarily who you're playing, but how do you see Central Arkansas just given the deep history with them?
I think you hit on the mark right there. I think they're our rivals. Like, uh, I don't say like I wait for any game or value any game any more than any other ones, but I usually value this one. Like I'll mark this one because I like this team. They're a hard competitor. Every year has been a nail biter, and I like Anthony John said that Hail Mary at their place that literally just shouldn't even happen, but it happened and they won a game. Yeah, I hate them for that, and I think everybody does.
Definitely.
That's why they're a rival.
I agree with you. I think it's been I think you can sit back and now I can, look at it and I respect the competition that they gave because man, those have been some great battles in the past. But I do think every time you step out there, I think both teams don't like each other equally, and I think it's a very physical game every time you play them.
Right.
Obviously, their running back is absolutely eating carries. I mean, he's getting 25, 30 carries, 22 carries. When you've looked at the film this week and you guys have prepared as a defense, what can us as fans watching the game expect out of their offense this week? And what are you guys looking for?
I think they're going to do what every team tries to do. They're going to try to hit us with the counter or hit us with outside runs, but they're going to load up the box more. They're going to add more linemen and everything. So I think we're going to have to win the line up front and win the game up front, and then have the backers come in and fill. That's what the goal is in layman terms.
Definitely. And I think they've made it clear that they made a decision after game 3 that they are going to feed Landon Chambers, their running back. Um, Two more questions for you, and one is, you're at this point in the season, you've been around, you've played a lot of football in your time at EKU, and you've seen, what the reactions are when you have your back against the wall, and like last year, the ability to run the table at the end of the year and get into the playoffs at 7-5. You guys are currently sitting at 3-5. Um, just your perspective and what is that mindset and the outlook for the rest of the season in terms of, your back's against the wall. Has there been any certain message regarding, putting your backs against the wall for the rest of the season from Coach Wells or in the team meetings, or kind of what's the message throughout the entire team moving forward?
Everything we want is still in front of us. Maybe because some of our goals are knocked off. That's what they say to us. Maybe even though some of our goals on the wall that's knocked off, we still got that last one we can fight for. If we win all these, we're gonna have a chance. We're gonna be guessing where we at in November. And that's actually what Coach Wells said in the meetings yesterday. If we win the rest of this game, we're gonna sit in November, hoping that we're in. Like we might be in because we went in
Definitely.
8-4 last year. That's one game behind from last year.
Yep. And I think you're right, 8-4 last year. And I think you look at there's one thing that Wells has said and preached to the team over his time that I've always thought was so true, and it held true last year. They remember what you do in November, and we are approaching November on Saturday. And if you run the table, if any team runs the table and goes 4-0 in November, they put themselves in a great position to make a run in December. You know what
Right.
I mean? So that's one thing that I just always remember that he said. But my last question for you, and then I'll let you go. I appreciate you giving me your time today. I called you Doomsday. What's your current nickname? You've gone through a few of them. What's your current nickname? What's your favorite nickname? Kind of give the group that is listening
Uh,
some perspective on the Gabe Fletcher evolution of nicknames.
I think I found my final evolution, my final stage of my evolution is just Gabe. I'll just go by Gabe.
Okay.
Sometimes I say Doomsday when I want to hype myself up, but right now I'm just Gabe Fletcher, just playing at the best of my ability that God blessed me with.
Absolutely. I love that. Can you give me a highlight of some of the ones? I'm trying to think. King of Memphis was one of them.
Yeah, when I had got redshirted my freshman year, I changed it to KIT, King in Training, and then I was the villain, and then I was Doomsday.
I like it. Now we're Gabe,
Oh, and the hero. I'm
Um,
the hero.
you were the hero for a bit. Okay. I like that. You were the hero coming out of Tarleton last year. I can tell you that much. But no, Gabe, I really appreciate you coming on tonight and the ability to talk to you once again. Like I said, I mean, you're a great guy. You're kind of a pillar in the community now in Richmond, and I couldn't be any happier to get to be your teammate in the past and get to be your friend. And I really appreciate you taking the time out of your night and your busy week to be on this show tonight.
Thank you so much for even inviting me. I love you, bro.
I love you too, man. You have a good night. Tell the guys I say hello.
Yes, sir.
All righty. That was Gabe Fletcher, defensive lineman. Always a pleasure to talk to. Always a good sense of humor. I'm going to pick up now, kind of back what I was saying with Central Arkansas. You know, they, like I said, tough games. Lost barely to West Georgia, beat North Alabama. Obviously, two different results than what we had at EKU this season. So, you know, you can look at the 3-5 record, but they're no one to overlook. And like we said, it's kind of become a rivalry game. One of those games that's going to be a smash mouth physical game that we need everyone to be ready for. When you look at the running back, like I mentioned, Landon Chambers, he had 28 carries last week for 122 yards. After week 3, they kind of committed, Central Arkansas did, to the run. In his last 5 games, his stats read 28 for 122 last game. The game before that, 24 carries for 184 yards and 3 touchdowns. Game before that, he got 25 carries for 108 yards. Before that, a whopping 31 carries for 136, and before that, 22 for 108. So they are a team that has committed to the run. As Anthony said, they got some big guys up front on both sides of the ball. It's going to be a smash mouth football game. I am excited to watch it. I know the season, you know, it's 3-5. It's not quite where you want to be, but hey, they remember what you do in November. The back's against the wall, and I'll always put my money. Well, that's probably a bad phrase nowadays, but I'll never count out the Colonels. That's a better phrase. I will never count out the Colonels. So, you know, with that said, I hope everyone tunes in this weekend. I hope anyone that lives near the area makes the trip over to Conway if you're nearby and goes and watch the Colonels play and cheer them on in Arkansas on that purple and gray field. And you know, I hope everyone just keeps the positive outlook and is excited for what this team can do in these next 4 weeks, because we need to go on a run. And the season's not over yet, as the guys mentioned. So with that said, you know, looking forward to this weekend. I appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight and for always tuning in to this show. I'm super grateful to get to do this. I'm super grateful to get to talk to the people that I get to talk to. Shout out to Isaac Ray, the SID at EKU, for, you know, channeling and allowing me to interview these guests every week. And a huge shout out to John Clark State Farm for being the best sponsor in the world, and also an incredible business, reliable customer service for an insurance agency. I seriously mean it. Check it out if you haven't. Check John Clark State Farm out. You will not regret it. You can always count on Clark. So with that said, once again, thank you all for tuning in. I hope to see you all next week. I hope we have a victorious Thursday next week, and go Colonels.